Good morning to everybody. Landmass Architecture and Engineering welcomes you to this new edition of Analyzing a Water Tank. Yes, today I'll be analyzing a water tank that is made up of 4 columns and 2 slabs with a vertical height of about 8 to 9 meters. So the first things first, we'll have to input our grids, the grid lines. We'll do the X and the Y directions first. So the distance between the pillars is 2.5 meters. The distance between all the pillars. So I'm just going to do that for the X direction. Then I switch to the Y. I change it to ABC. And I put the same thing, 2.5 meters. Apply and close. So there we have it. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the points in which we input our columns. Moving on, so we have our grids that will help us input our beams and columns. So the next thing to do is to go right into defining our stories. And to define our stories, we touch this button. We define manually, and because this is a water tank, we assume that the height of each floor is going to be 2.5, which is enough for the tank container to fit into it. So we'll be using 2.5 meters. So first of all, we'll start with our dwarf columns, because it has to have a dwarf column. The dwarf column will be 1.5 meters. First of all, you delete everything, then you start 1.5 meters, you add, then now the rest will be 2.5. You add, and you add. Story 1, 2, and 3 accordingly. Then you apply and you close. You see, we have all the stories appearing here. Now you can change the name here by saying dwarf or foundation. Either name works for you. You choose the one that works for you. I'll go foundation. Here you right click here and you go with, I'll go with ground floor. Press enter and you move on like that. So after listing them accordingly, that's defining their names accordingly, we'll start with inputting our beams. Now you want to make sure you're on the foundation level, and as we rightly defined here, if you go to view, you get the 3 view of what it's about. The foundation level is 1.5 and the rest are 3 meters. As you can see, the difference in their height. So we go back to the plan view. A point to note: whenever you're putting any beam or column or cladding or anything, make sure you are on the plan view. The plan view is the most convenient to put in any structural element, to make sure that it's on the right level. So you check, you make sure the foundation is on blue, foundation is turned on, and we click beam. Now we want a reinforced concrete beam. So we do that, and the section, I want a 20 by 30 section, but it's not found yet, so I have to define it manually by myself. So here I put it in centimeters already. You check that, 20 by 30, and then you add and you close. So after clicking, make sure that the cursor, the green is showing. You come to your 4 grid points that you choose. Yeah, that's it. You input your beams like that, like that. So I've inputted my beams here. We can go to the 3G and we on section shapes. You see, those are my beams that I just inputted. So we're going to go back to plan, and we do the same thing for columns. You come to column and you make sure you are on reinforced concrete. You choose the dimension you want. For this water tank, for my columns, I'll use 20 by 25 for the cross section. So I'll do that and I'll be right back. So I've defined 20 by 25. So before you start inputting the columns, you have to click here at the beginning. Make sure it shows green. And also, it has to be, the down button has to be turned on. So you click here, you click here, you click here, and you click here. If you go to the 3D view, you notice we have our columns. So you close. Next things, I'm going to So if you notice, if you go zoom closely, you discover that these are roller supports and I want them to be fixed. So I select from left to right. You check, you see the nodes are selected, 4 nodes. If I select from right to left, you discover that everything I touch automatically selects. But when selecting from left to right, what selects is what is inside the box, totally inside the box. That's why you see only the nodes have been selected. But if I select from right to left, anything that the box touches selects. So I hope you get the technique. So I select the 4 nodes and I click on that and support, and I take fixed support. I apply and I close. You zoom in, you discover that the supports have changed from roller to fixed supports. So I want to change the vertical height of each floor to 3 meters. Yes, I want the total height from the ground to the top to be 9 meters. So what I need to do is, I've already changed for the first 2, that's the foundation and the ground. So all I need to do is come here, second, and then on the place of height, under properties, I change it to 3 and I press enter, and you see it automatically changes. So in case you made a mistake and you want to edit, do not worry, you don't need to start back all over. You can simply just make those edits. You highlight whatsoever you want to change, you come under properties and you change it. Easy as that. So moving on, we have our beams, our columns, everything is in place. I'm still on foundation, take notes. So now if you think these letters are too big for you, you could reduce their sizes. You come to view, you come to display, and you change this to, let's say, you can give this 30 and apply, and that's it. It reduces. So next thing is we're going to get our floor. Now this is going to be a reinforced concrete floor. Why? Because this is a water tank, mind you, and in Cameroon usually the thickness for reinforced concrete slabs is usually 12 centimeters, but since this is a water tank, meaning there's going to be a lot of accumulated load on it for a very small surface area, I'm going to use 15 centimeters for the reinforced concrete slab. So when you open floor, the first thing is to get take one way slab. Now you take shell, and then you take rectangle. Horizontal slab, thick. But if you wanted to put a slanting slab like a staircase or something, you have to off this. But since it's a normal horizontal slab, you leave it on. And then you take apply, and you touch, 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 and that's it. Our two-way slabs. These 4 arrows on all the sides shows that it's a two-way slab. Oops, I made a mistake. I did not define my thickness, so I'm going to delete this slab or undo and then do it again. So to define the thickness, you go to thickness there, and that's it, 12 centimeters. But since this is a slab for, like I earlier mentioned, it's a slab for a water tank, and it has a lot of accumulated load. I'll be using 15 centimeters. So that's it.